Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of Mind Your Puckin' Business with your host, Jeffrey Krentzman.
Thank you, Dougie Sticks.
You're welcome.
Always. Nice job there.
Thank you. Today. There's a lot of pressure today. A lot of eyes watching.
A lot of eyes. Coming to you, as always, from the beautiful studios of Undefeated Media here in Bergen County, New Jersey. This is the Mind Your Puckin' Business podcast, episode number 42.
See?
Style 42.
Nice.
Look at that. Smooth, baby, smooth. And as always, you can send your questions to us at mypbshow@gmail.com, which conveniently, if you're following on the video feed, loves to appear when I say it. I wonder how it
I don't know how it knows. It just knows.
Well, if you're not listening on the video feed on YouTube, you can be listening to us, of course, on Spotify, iTunes, or Facebook. You've got a wealth of opportunities and choices of how you can get your MYPB fix, as we call it. So welcome to the show. How are you, Dougie Sticks?
I'm great. How are you?
I am good. So do you know,
yes,
I figured out the other day, I didn't tell you this because I wanted to keep it a surprise,
yes,
that tomorrow is the 1-year anniversary of our first show. Did you know that?
I did not know. I mean, we're on episode 42.
Right. Well,
I didn't know we were that far off.
We should be 52,
yes,
but I guess we take a couple of weeks off.
A couple of weeks here.
Well, we went, and then we also went to the bi-weekly schedule.
Yes.
Which also did us in.
Well, congratulations and thank you for being here with us.
Yes. Well, we thank you guys out there for listening and giving us your ears or eyes for 40 minutes or so every week, or almost every week, as we approach the 1-year anniversary show. But what I did learn when I was looking at it is apparently when we started a year ago tomorrow, it was your birthday, because tomorrow's your birthday, right?
Yes, tomorrow. Wait, today's the 24th. Yes, tomorrow is my birthday.
So let me get this. I don't know if we knew this at the time when we started.
We didn't know how old I was. Yes.
Well, we didn't know how old you were. As a matter of fact, my kids asked me how old you were. I think it was yesterday, and I wasn't really sure.
Yeah. Tomorrow I turn 35.
There's the answer. So youngin', look at you.
Yes.
Any plans for the birthday?
No, I got an event tonight, which we're having a fun family event, kids, video games, networking. But other than that, I'm always working. There's no rest for the word. Yes.
Well, happy birthday, sir.
Thank you.
Early happy birthday. We are going to turn the page here and kind of go away from the Summer Small Business Spotlight series that we've been doing. And we've had a lot of fun with those companies on the last 5 or 6 shows. But now, as we get into NFL season 2.5 weeks away, as well as the NHL season coming back really in 6 weeks, although training camps will, believe it or not, open in 3 weeks. We've got to go away from the business side for a little bit, at least, and focus on some sports. So you ready to go?
Let's do it.
Now we're going to start. I'm going to start off. I'm going to warn you. This is not really the way you want to start a 1-year anniversary show. We're going to start with just some depressing news times 2.
Yes, this is depressing news. If I think I know where you're going with this.
You don't. That's actually times 3. But we're going to start with some terrible news out of the NHL yesterday.
Yes.
Which is the passing of Jimmy Hayes, who was 31 years old.
Wow.
He played on multiple NHL teams. He played for the Devils for a while. He was on the Bruins, the Blackhawks, and I want to say the Penguins as well, and the Panthers, actually, for sure. Passed away suddenly at the age of 31. So we send our condolences out to him.
Absolutely.
And his family, of course. It's an awful story. And then another passing over the weekend, Rod Gilbert was 80 years old. Was the first Ranger ever to have his jersey retired. Was an all-time, spent the entire 18 years of his career, 1960 to 78, all with the Rangers. And if you ever went to a Ranger game in the past, I'd say like 15 years, chances are you saw Rod Gilbert on the scoreboard or Jumbotron there at the Garden. He was always there. He was an ambassador. He was great with the community aspect. He actually, and I didn't know this until I looked yesterday, so I have to admit this, that he was the franchise leader both in goals and points. He played in 1,065 games, had a career 406 goals with the Rangers, as well as 1,021 points, which is really impressive if you think about it. He's almost averaging a point a game. In a time in the 60s and 70s where hockey was not as offensive as it is now. Obviously, the game has changed a little bit where they want more scoring. They want to keep it interesting. So there have been some rule changes. But for him to have those stats in those years is very impressive. So Rod Gilbert, a great ambassador for the Rangers, a great player, and maybe even a better guy off the ice, one of the nicer guys you'll ever find. passes away over the weekend at age 80. So condolences out to his family. Now, to the times 3, those were the 2 things I said were depressing, and now to the other thing, which I know is what you thought.
Yeah.
Last Friday, hockey news in the summer doesn't come in that often. So when it does come in, stuff will stand out. If stuff hits the news wire, it hits fast. And Friday morning came. I would say it was a surprise. At least it was to me. News that Henrik Lundqvist was going to retire. Now, if you go back and you've listened to us before in the fall, there was a show we did last October where Henrik Lundqvist announced he was leaving the Rangers and was going to go and play for the Capitals, even though he never ended up playing for them. And we did a whole kind of, we're sad to see him go. It strikes a little bit different, I think, when a player retires, right?
Yeah.
Henrik Lundqvist was the all-time Ranger win leader in goal, 459 career wins, and ended up 6th on the all-time list. Henrik Lundqvist, I mean, I could read off stats that I have in front of me, and I'll read some of them because I tried to pick some that were not like the most obvious stuff that would make you see his sheer amazingness, if you will, just by some cool stats, which we'll get into in a minute. But Henrik Lundqvist will unfortunately go down, as depressing as it is, as one of the best athletes in all of professional sports, not just hockey, to retire without a championship. The other name that comes to mind when I think of athletes like that is Dan Marino on the Dolphins. Right?
Yeah.
Players that retire that just unfortunately didn't hoist the championship trophy that their sport plays for. So Henrik Lundqvist, if you were a Ranger fan or you are a Ranger fan and you've spent the last 15 years or so being a Ranger fan, Henrik Lundqvist is the reason why. He is the reason why in the past 16 years the Rangers have been exciting to watch. He came into the league. I don't know why I remember this. I told this story last October. He came into the league on a Saturday night. They played the Devils back in October 2005. And I want to say the goalie that the Rangers had that time was Kevin Weeks, who now has gone on and he's all over TV as a broadcaster. But it was announced Kevin Weeks or whoever the starter wasn't playing, and they were going to play this kid named Henrik Lundqvist in goal on a Saturday night. And I remember driving. I don't remember why I remember this. And I was annoyed that they were going to put a guy in against the Devils that had never played before because you want to beat the Devils. And back in those years, the Rangers and Devils really hated each other. So I was annoyed. Now Henrik Lundqvist, if I'm not mistaken, went on to lose that game 3-2, but it was the birth of a career that was legendary in New York City and one of the all-time great athletes. Henrik Lundqvist was a 7th-round pick. So he was not expected, obviously, to be as good as he was, or he would have been drafted way earlier. He wouldn't have been taken in the 7th round. But he went on to become the face of the franchise for the past 15 years. And every single night that Henrik Lundqvist played, whether it was a regular season game or a playoff game, you had a chance to win. There were years with the Rangers, particularly in the John Tortorella era in the early parts of the 2010s, where he would basically hold the team on his own. Those teams were not built to score 4 or 5 goals a game. They didn't have Artemi Panarin in those days or Mika Zibanejad. So you were relying on your goalie to really end up carrying you. And Henrik Lundqvist every single night gave you a chance to win. It was a remarkable career. Probably I will say the best dressed Ranger ever. I don't know if you've seen this. He is like a model. And he's always in fancy suits. And he like Rod Gilbert, to kind of put some things together, also a wonderful face of the franchise in terms of what he does for the community. If you listen to some people tell stories of Henrik Lundqvist's career over the weekend when he retired, you would have heard a lot of stories that really were touching. Things like, he always went out to see special need kids. They always had him in the locker room. He did a million things for charity in New York City. Just an absolute great guy. And if you look at the respect that he got from even opponents, whether they would be on the Devils, the Islanders, the Rangers, the Bruins, Flyers, wherever they may be, nobody really had anything bad to say. It's hard to say something bad about him. Kind of like you, right?
Thanks.
Hard to say something bad. So I'm going to read you a couple random stats. And what we're going to do here, provided, and I always say this, provided modern technology works, we're going to go and bring on a couple Ranger fans today and do like a little Henrik Lundqvist appreciation show and maybe some off-season questions. But I want to read some stats about Henrik Lundqvist that is really remarkable. So this to me is absurd. Henrik Lundqvist never played a meaningless game in his NHL career, meaning that he played a game where, like, let's say the team had already been eliminated. So later in the season, the team had been eliminated from playoff contention, where the team could not have a chance to either win that game and make the playoffs. That didn't come for him until his last game in his last season, his 930th game.
So they made the playoffs every season while he was.
Well,
they just took him out.
The 1 year they didn't make the playoffs. That's a good question. Was 2009, 2010. They lost to the Flyers on the last day of the season, where it was a Sunday after. It was actually one of the worst Ranger losses I can remember. They played the Flyers on a Sunday afternoon. The winner got in, and the loser was done. The Rangers had a 1-0 lead. They scored a shorthanded goal by a guy named Jody Shelley. So the game went to a shootout. This was in Philadelphia on a Sunday afternoon. So basically, the shootout decided who was going in and who didn't get in.
Wow.
And they lost. But to the stats point, when the game started, they had a chance, right? He never really played a meaningless game, which is, I mean, I don't even understand how that's possible. So here's another stat for you. Over this 13 seasons, Lundqvist, the past 13 seasons, he saved 178 more goals than the average goalie would have been expected to save based on the number of shots he faced. Now, that's not 178 more save, that is just straight up goals. So if you divide that, now I'm not really, a math expert here, but if we divide that up, 178 goals divided by 13 seasons, 13 goals a season. I mean, that's almost a goal.
Oh, time out. Yes. 178 goals total was scored on him.
No.
In 13 years.
No, not at all. If that was the case.
Redo the math. Redo the math here.
So Lundqvist saved, if you take the total number of shots that he faced over the 13-year span, okay, you're going to take, these are how many shots he faced.
Yes.
Here's how many goals the average goalie would have let up in those 13 years facing that amount of shots.
Okay.
He let up 178 goals below the average.
Gotcha.
Which is remarkable.
I thought 178 goals total in 13 years. That's craziness.
That would be like your lacrosse record. That would be like stuff that would never be broken.
We all can't be legends.
No, we can't. Between 2012 and 2015. Now, I got to remember in those years, in 2012, the Rangers went to the conference finals and lost to the Devils. 2014, they went on to the Stanley Cup and lost to the Kings. And then in 2015, they lost again in the conference finals at home in Game 7 to the Lightning. So those were some good years. He had a 15-4 record in elimination games. So games that either the Rangers could eliminate the other team or games where the Rangers could be eliminated. In those games, I mean, this is absurd in elimination games. In those games, he had a 0.954 save percentage, which means he's stopping 95 out of 100 shots in an elimination game. It's not human. He had 64 regular season shutouts, right, which is high up on the list. So all this stuff, all these stats are there to show you what we already know, which is that he is not your average player.
True.
And again, because he was a 7th-round draft pick, was never really expected to be what he was. He just happened to, thankfully, fall into the Rangers' lap, got a chance to play, and never looked back.
Wow.
And one of the nicer guys you'll ever meet. So
true story.
The Rangers then announced later in the day on Friday, and when they announced his retirement earlier in the day, that the Rangers will be retiring his jersey to the rafters at a game later on the season. Now, I want to say something about this because I had this discussion with someone over text yesterday.
Yeah.
Everybody, now this is a total guess, but I'm going to say it here.
You heard it here first.
I'm going to say it here so that when someone says to me if I'm right, now you're saying that, I'm going to be like, no, go back to the MYPB episode that we taped on August 24th. The day before Dougie Sticks turned the big 35.
See.
So everybody wants to know. The Rangers will not tell you. I don't know if they know either what game they're going to announce he's going to be retiring his jersey, right?
Yeah. So they want you to come to all the games.
Well, no. They're not saying you yet, but everybody wants to know because you want tickets to that game, right? That's the game you want to have tickets for. Or if let's say you were somebody who had a ticket business, you would want to know what game that is because you would move the prices up.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I looked at the Ranger schedule, trying to think of where it could be out of the 41 home games.
Yeah.
Right now, here's my conclusion.
What's your
conclusion.
prediction?
They don't usually do these sort of the retirement games versus like teams, the Devils, the Flyers, the Blackhawks, teams that they would have no problem selling tickets to. They want to put this game right against the team that wouldn't normally draw as well as.
And they want to win the game too.
Well, they want to win the game too. Yes, that would be nice. But then I looked and I realized, what is Henrik Lundqvist's birthday? March 2nd. Do the Rangers coincidentally happen to have a home game on his birthday this year?
Probably, since you said it like that.
They do. Are they playing a team that wouldn't normally draw like the Flyers, the Islanders? What do you think? Yes. They are playing the St. Louis Blues.
Wow.
So I am going to go out on a limb. Again, I have no inside information, but my prediction, because every Ranger wants to know, and I saw an email yesterday where someone like emailed their ticket rep at the Garden and said, hey, can you give me inside info? And the guy said, we don't even know. Watch March 2nd. You heard it here first. I am putting myself out there.
No, it makes complete sense. But do you think the Rangers are that insightful and they're going to think that way?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, well, you know what? Now,
because I wouldn't, some of these businesses, some of these organizations, you'd be like, it's an obvious answer.
No, they could turn around and say, like, I think March 15th later in the season, they play Anaheim, which would even be worse of a draw. But my guess, if you wanted to buy tickets and just
roll
the dice, get the March 2nd game versus St. Louis, because that is my guess as to where it's going to be.
You heard it here first.
So
MYPB.
Now I see, my eyesight today is not great. We have some comments coming in, and this is video. This is our friend Finnegan.
Yes. Finnegan's asking us to play video games with him.
Got it. Well, maybe after the show. Speaking of video games, I believe B-Rock, the producer here, shot some video of me and you playing video games about a month or two ago.
Yes. Maybe we'll get that video.
maybe we will, B-Rock. Maybe we'll see it before the next version of NHL comes out in September, which I believe is September 10th.
Interesting.
So you'll have to update your software.
You guys better practice.
You'll have to update your software accordingly.
Practice.
So before we
warmed up,
yes, you're always warmed up. So before we get on to the Ranger Roundtable, let's go into a couple things with football. Yes. 2 weeks from today will be our show where we have to make our week 1 picks.
Yes.
Because the football week 1 will start the weekend of September 11th this year. So our show on September, that will be the 6th, will be I'm sorry, September 7th, Tuesday the 7th will be our week 1 picks. We are going to do the same this year. We will be picking 5 games every week, so we cannot really win it. We cannot tie. I mean, I guess you could push on a game, but you can't really tie. We're going to pick 5 games, same thing we did last year. If we make money that week, it counts as a win. If we lose, it's a losing week. Last year, we were fortunate. We went 10-7, so we had 17-week regular season.
Yep.
We had 10 winning weeks and 7 losing weeks. So if you did listen to our advice, you're probably on a yacht somewhere off of Maui right now.
Yes, you would have made money.
You would have made money. This year, the NFL added a week 18. They did.
More chances to
win money. We will keep track of that every week. We also were in contact last week, I believe, with the great Jeff Sheesby, who will be coming back on, hopefully preseason appearance. Yes. I think we may try and get him week 1. Right. Well, why don't we start off with him?
He said he's in. We just couldn't get him to this week.
We couldn't get him to this week, which is fine. We got our Ranger.
We got him. We'll get him.
We got our Ranger Roundtable coming up shortly. So we have that coming up in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And then we also have potentially maybe the MYPB Fantasy Football League.
This is 100%.
You're sure?
I'm 100% sure.
Okay. Are you more sure than
me?
No,
I'm not. Are we gonna talk about it? You're gonna want to let the people know?
No. I'm not. I'm
100% in. We're in.
I'm not bringing up. Are we talking about my business? The one we talked about last week?
I'm talking about the whole event that you're going to have for your fantasy.
Right. Yes.
So, are we on the same page? I feel like we're on different pages.
We are.
What book are you on?
I don't. Not really the world's most novel reader. No, I am referring to what you're referring to, but I didn't know if you wanted to go there. If you wanted to put it out there, I'm leaving it up to you.
If you build it, they will come.
Field of Dreams. Yes. Which, by the way,
did you watch the game?
I did. I watched part of it.
Me
I
too.
wish I saw the end of it, but then I don't.
I saw
because
the end.
Yankees,
the end was crazy.
The Yankees blew that one, but the Yankees now have won 10 in a row. But we don't talk baseball on the show. That's the one sport. It's the one sport we don't touch. Back 10 years ago, we would have all the time with my life. But anyway, no, I'm saying that the MYPB Fantasy Football League, we will know for sure on next week's show if it's going to happen.
I'm telling you, but it's your choice. We could talk about next week.
So
I'm saying it's happening.
So you're more. Let me ask you this.
I'm more confident than.
And then we'll get.
Anything.
And then we'll get to the Ranger Roundtable because I see we have the guest in the waiting room.
Yeah.
But let me ask you this:
yes.
You're more confident if you had to bet the Rangers retire Henrik's jersey on March 2nd.
I'm more confident than your prediction of Henry Lundqvist's date.
Henry Lundqvist. Henrik. Yeah, we're teaching you. We're still teaching you. Okay. So, all right. So
you want to talk about it next week?
We'll talk about it next week.
But you don't think I can make moves like that? These are some stellar moves.
It has not, and I'm not going to get into the story because I don't want to put it out there in case it doesn't happen. I don't want to make someone upset.
Sure.
You know what we're talking about. But all I'm saying is this: you've done your part. I'm just saying I never heard back. I reached out to the person you told me about the league.
I got you.
This is easy. It's easy.
I got you.
You know, can we put the camera on you as you do like we got you the confidence? I mean, that was just like he's got you. So all right, so we'll have some football coming up, and again, Sheesby to join the show in a couple of weeks, couple other guests as well, and then we do roll right into the NHL season. The Rangers open up their home schedule on September 26th. Actually, a week and 2 days.
Crazy.
It's crazy how fast it's coming.
Now, before we get into this,
yes,
when do you think timelines of all the sports will go back to what normal
it hopefully would be next year? NFL is normal, right? They added a week 18. They're starting where they would have started.
Okay.
Baseball did as well. Baseball for the most part is normal.
Okay.
Hockey and basketball,
they're 6 feet apart.
Right. They're outdoor sports. And as I mentioned, my wife and kids went to the Jets Giant game last week. So I mean, you are outside and you're fine. The NHL and NBA different because it's indoor. Now they're each planning on doing a regular season, so 82 games, 41 home games for the Rangers, 41 home games for the Knicks, but they are starting maybe a week or two back. But it's a full season in that it's just going to end 3 weeks later. The NHL regular season ends, I think, April 28th in 2022. It would normally end like April 10th. So we're not that far off. Hopefully, if things get better, and we do not go politics on the show, so we're not discussing the coronavirus. Hopefully next fall in 2022, hockey will start, the first week in October, and basketball shortly thereafter, and then we're back on pace.
Sounds good.
The world is right again.
The world is right again.
Got it?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So we're going to do something, and it's kind of on the fly here this week. We're going to bring in some Ranger fans, and we're going to talk two things. We're going to talk about Henrik Lundqvist, and we're going to try all not to get upset. I can't guarantee you that'll happen.
We need to get tissues for you?
I'll be all right. I'll be all right. And then we're also going to talk a couple off-season things just to kind of get the feel of the fans rather than me and you.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
So
I love this.
We are going to try to bring in, and again, I rely on modern technology here. And this is going to be, let's see, can we get them in?
Both at the same time?
Both at the same time.
Wow.
Let's rock and roll.
Wow.
We're gonna go. So
full house.
Good morning, guys.
We've got, how are you guys? Why don't you go ahead and we'll start with you, Michael. Why don't you introduce yourself?
Hey, so my name is Michael Grinaldi. Currently live in Little Controversial, Central Jersey, near Six Flags. Been a big Ranger fan for about, 10 plus years since I can remember. Excited to be here.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Hey, Salvi Baldino here, also from Central Jersey, Princeton, New Jersey, Ranger fan for since just before the 94 Cup. And happy to be here. Thanks for the invite.
Yep. Well, thank you guys for coming. And if it makes you feel better, since you're both from Jersey and think that's a little odd, I am too. So we have 3 Jersey guys talking about New York Ranger hockey. So that works. So why don't we start, Mike? Let me ask you this. Were you surprised on Friday that Lundqvist retired?
Not necessarily. I mean, we kind of all seen it coming in a little bit way. Obviously, nobody wanted it. A little bit of heart complications from Henrik. We didn't really want to see him leave New York in general. Surprised, I probably wouldn't say so. I personally anticipated it, but you never want to see the king retire. You wish he played forever.
You do.
I can't guarantee tissues though.
And it is weird to think that in the league, in the NHL, Henrik Lundqvist won't be there. I mean, even without being on the Rangers. So, Sal, I'm going to go to you with Lundqvist. Was there a player, and I think we're about the same age when we talked yesterday. So, I mean, we'll kind of run the same wavelength here with running through the course of his career from 2005 to when it ended last week. Was there a player that you think was more important to the Rangers in this time frame, or was it definitely Henrik Lundqvist?
Good question. I don't think there was. I mean, when you talk right around the time of the strike, the year after the strike, the Rangers had Jágr, and you knew he would be a cornerstone piece. And you knew the Rangers had a solid team coming out of the lockout, but we didn't know who the goalkeeper was going to be. And we had Kevin Weeks and decent enough goaltender, but then comes Henrik Lundqvist and just leads the way. And you guys mentioned it earlier, stealing games and doing everything he did. So probably not. I mean, Jágr's up there, but
right.
No, Henrik was the man.
The amazing thing about Lundqvist to me, and I've said this for years, is that he was a 7th round draft pick, right? So you're not drafting a goalie in the 7th round if you think he's going to end up in the 6th all-time NHL win list. I mean, it's just amazing how that draft pick shows you that sometimes you get lucky. I mean, there's been plenty of times we could get into it with the Rangers draft history where they're unlucky, huge Iceman, all that stuff that they failed on over the years, but to get one right. So, Mike, let me ask you this. As we move into what I've been using the term on the show the last month or two, window of opportunity for the Rangers. If all goes well with the type of talent they have, the window is opening up soon. Probably not this year, but I'd love to be wrong, that the window of opportunity is opening up for them. Do you think Igor Shesterkin, I don't want to say he can be Henrik Lundqvist because that's not fair to say, but do you think he can backstop this team with the talent in front of him to get them to the levels that Lundqvist did?
To be honest with you, I actually kind of do, and I agree. I wouldn't necessarily put him in the footsteps of Henrik. As you said, it's a little bit unfair, but based on what he's shown us thus far, I mean, his movement is amazing. He can clearly see the puck very well. He has a young core D in front of him, getting even more talented on the front end. He kind of has all the tools. Like you said, probably not this year. I'm kind of hopeful for a playoff appearance at least. In terms of like cup opportunity, I'd say probably realistically 3 to 5 years out. But I think Igor is going to probably be a top 10 goaltender at some point in his career.
Let's hope. What do you think, Sal?
Yeah, I mean, it's a tough one. We've been the hype has been there for Igor, for Lafreniere, for Kako, and Kravtsov comes around. I mean, Adam Fox has really risen and lived up to that hype, clearly. And the hope is that these other guys do. You see flashes, of quality. You see flashes of brilliance from Igor. Can he give the consistency? That's the question. Now you got an 82-game season. There's no more shortened seasons. So he'll have Georgiev behind him, who's solid and can give him some breaks. But we all hope, don't we? But only time will tell, right?
Yeah. So let's shift as we talk some offseason here. So we had Dan Rosen on the show. What was it, Dougie Sticks? About 4 weeks ago, 5 weeks ago?
It was like 2 or 3.
Well, time flies. It definitely wasn't 2 or 3. You were in Cape May and I was in Florida the week before. So it was before that. But we had Dan Rosen on the show, and him and I agreed on something, that the Rangers front office, and I don't necessarily know that this is Chris Drury, I think it's above him, is so obsessed with this Tom Wilson episode that what they've done, and I'm not saying the bottom 6, 3rd, and 4th line needed to be redone and looked at, but this obsession with like getting tough and like, this physical brand of hockey, it's become an obsession. So let me ask you this, Sal, we're going to start with you on this one. So to date where we stand today, which really I would say the Rangers' biggest move would be Goodrow coming from Tampa, which I liked. Are you happy with the offseason so far? And I ask that because the Rangers typically make splashes in the offseason. Artemi Panarin on July 1st, all of these kinds of things. I even go back to Bobby Holik in 1999, even though that didn't work out on day one. But knowing that this was not a big splash offseason for the Rangers, are you happy so far with what you've seen?
Very, very happy. I mean, I think the Rangers have done a couple phenomenal things. Number one, and most importantly, they've left themselves with cap space, not only this year, but going forward. And we had to take a hit with Buchnevich getting traded for a minimal return. But I think we're going to like Sammy Blais on the 4th line. That's the key. This is a salary cap world. So the Rangers have put themselves in a great position, which is why I don't like the Eichel idea. I'm not on board with that. But yeah, are they a little bit obsessed? When your multi-million-dollar guys get slammed to the ice, and then you think about Trouba getting slammed to the boards against the Islanders, and I'm the owner and I see my top guys getting concussed, I would be upset as well. But I'm very happy. I think the depth of the squad is something people don't talk about. You know, you're going to have 6 guys. You're going to have Blay, Rooney, Reeves, Gautier, Barron, and then this guy Hunt, who we know a little bit about, and maybe other Gettinger. You're going to have 6, 7, 8 guys fighting for those bottom 3 or 4 spots. So I like it. Overall, I like it a lot.
What about you, Mike?
I personally agree. So I do like it. I do think the Rangers needed to get tougher in a way. Like Sal mentioned that, you know, you don't like seeing your top name players just being pushed around. Getting arguably the best fighter in the NHL, I like it. When is it necessary? Maybe a little bit overpaid. But at the end of the day, the Rangers did need a little bit of toughness and a little bit of edge. And you get that in Goodrow. You get that in obviously Ryan Reeves and a little bit in Sammy Blais. The Rangers did need a little bit of an identity in the bottom 6 role, in my personal opinion. So off-season acquisitions, I like it overall.
Well, I agree with you both. I mean, they're definitely going to be a harder team to play against. Now, they were soft last year, so we'll take that into consideration, but they certainly are a lot harder. And some of these bottom 6 guys, as you were saying, Sal, I think are really good, especially Sammy Blais. I agree with you. That came over from St. Louis. So back in Dougie Sticks, I want to say it was March, if I remember correctly. The Rangers were kind of in a stretch. They hadn't done well. Coronavirus hit David Quinn. He's out for 2 weeks. The Rangers played better. And I understand it was a very small sample size. But I got really annoyed on the show one day, and I said, I don't understand how Gerard Gallant has not gotten a phone call from this team or any team. And then when you know it, 2 months later, 2.5 months later, he's named as the head coach. To me, I think he was the perfect fit for this. I think he's been shown to be playing young players, which was a knock on David Quinn, Capo Caco, Lafreniere, some of these younger guys not getting a lot of playing time. Were you happy, Mike, we'll start with you on this one. Were you happy with the Gallant hire?
Oh, of course. I mean, I feel like most Ranger fans should be happy with Gerard Gallant. I mean, what can you say? His resume kind of speaks for himself. Him being fired from Florida and Vegas, to me, it was a little bit odd, considering he wasn't, the worst. Maybe there was something a little bit behind the scenes the public doesn't know about. In terms of him coming to the Rangers, I mean, it's nothing but pure excitement for me. The guy clearly knows how to coach his team. He knows how to get the most out of his players. I'm expecting a little bit of kind of a fair share of minutes. You play well, you get minutes, and obviously, unfortunately, with Buchnevich leaving, you get to have your young guys kind of play more minutes in those, second line role and stuff like that. Coaching style should be fun. He's getting the grit that he wanted. Should be a great 200-foot game.
And before we go to Sal, when you mentioned about the grit he wanted, Ryan Reeves thrived under him, right? So I'm sure management went to him and said, look, we're going to pull this deal and give up a 3rd-round pick for Reeves. Do you think you can kind of get back what you brought out of him in Vegas? So, I agree with that. What do you think, Sal?
Yeah, I like David Quinn, and I think he got, he got dealt a pretty bad hand. He walks into the team when they're in a full rebuild mode. He had a couple of superstars, and then you had a couple of the majority of the team very young and inexperienced. And then you get put in the division we got put in last year, where you're having to play against Boston every single night, Philadelphia every single night, even though that worked out pretty well for the Rangers last year. The Islanders 8 times. So I would have liked to have seen him get one more year. The circumstances are what they were. I'm not saying the Rangers shouldn't have done what they did in getting Gallant, but it would have been nice for David Quinn to finally get this group a good group. But it is what it is. And Gallant was the best coach on the board. We were all kind of hoping that a Rod Brindamore might work out for a quick minute. Things weren't looking. He took a major pay cut to stay in Carolina, and Rick Tocchet was another guy I wouldn't have minded, even though I'm not sure he's a New York kind of guy. But happy with Gallant, and let's hope he gets it right.
Yeah, I would have been fine with Brindamore as well. The Tocchet thing was weird to me. I don't know if they were giving him a second interview when they brought him back to use as a bargaining chip in the contract with Gallant, because Tocchet hasn't really won much. He hadn't been that successful in Arizona, but I was happy that they did end up with Gallant. He certainly was the right pick. So we're going to end with this question. And you brought it up, Sal, already, so we'll start with you. We've talked a lot on the show the last couple of weeks, and Dougie Sticks hates to hear the name anymore, and that's Jack Eichel. Originally, I was against Eichel, and I still am, although the only thing that is interesting to me is how bad that the Buffalo general manager, Kevin Adams, has screwed this up, as the longer this goes on, and now a report came out on Sunday, Jack Eichel will not even be ready for the regular season. The return that Buffalo is going to get just keeps diminishing. So I'm not really sure what they're doing. If you can get Jack Eichel for a very, I don't want to say a low return, but a lower return than what you expect, right? There are certain players on this team that are untouchable to me, but there are some that are not. I wouldn't mind trading Filipino. I'm not sold on him, long term. If you can get Jack Eichel and the price is right, Sal, are you making the move?
Yeah, well, I mean that's a big question because it's all about the price, isn't it?
Right. Yep.
I think the move is to wait till next year, where his no trade clause kicks in, and he holds all the cards. Jack Eichel doesn't hold any cards right now. It's the Sabres management hold all the cards. So wait a year, see how this group does, see if there's something better that comes up for less assets. Who's a healthier guy? I mean, I think let's all hope that the neck situation, isn't an issue long term for Jack or for whatever team he goes to. But the Rangers have done so much, have been so patient for a couple years to get this group, and to trade 3, 4, 5 guys at this point, let's sit and wait. Let's see. I'm excited about this group. I think I'm excited for Filipino. I hope he finally breaks out. It looked like he was going to break out last year, and he breaks his hand. I'm excited for Lafreniere. I'm excited for these guys. Nils Lundqvist. We don't even know what this guy can bring. He's supposed to be super special. Even Zach Jones, who we could be saying in 3-4 years he's another he's another guy who could be a Fox. So why give these guys away when we really don't? If you knew the Rangers were going to challenge for a Stanley Cup, if this is in 2 years, like Mike just said a little while ago, Mike said 3 to 5 years out. If that's the case, if this is fast forward 3 years, and this is the team that can challenge, and you want to make a big splash, then maybe you do it. But we don't know that. We don't know if this is the group. So why mortgage? Why give away all these assets? So I say sit to the side, and let's see what happens.
What do you think, Mike?
Well, it's not very often a generational talent like Jack Eichel comes across the board. I mean, the fact that he's available is, I wouldn't say unexpected, considering his circumstance in Buffalo has been rather intriguing. You kind of just feel for the guy at this point. Jack clearly doesn't really want to stay in Buffalo anymore. He wants to get the surgery. Management, disagrees with him. Regardless if he comes to the Rangers or not, you kind of just want to see the guy play his career happily in the place that he wants to be. In terms of him coming to the Rangers, I'm not opposed, to be honest with you. The neck injury, like Sal mentioned, is a little bit concerning. I kind of agree with a little bit of the sit and wait game because, as everyone's saying, the longer this kind of pans out, hopefully less the price. And, at this point, Kevin Adams doesn't really want a captain that's unhappy. And kind of to go along with our talent pool, I mean, I'm very excited to see a guy like Kravtsov play. I mean, he was very impressive in the short amount of games that he played. We have a lot of talents coming up through our farm system, and we got little hot flashes of them. And I would honestly rather see those guys play for a little bit. If, like Sal said, we contend seriously in a year or two, something to kind of look into, because a guy like Jack Eichel can definitely take you to that next level.
Yeah, I don't mind, if the Rangers end up trying to get him at some point. And again, I don't understand. I can't picture him going back and skating again in a Buffalo Sabres jersey next year. So I just, like, with all the war of words, I just think it would be strange. I don't know how that's going to happen. But I don't mind now giving up draft picks. We have a lot of young I'd rather give up the picks than the players. As we saw, look, Lundqvist was a 7th round pick. Picks don't always work out. Look how many 1st round picks the Rangers have had over the years that have been failures. So I don't mind giving up picks, but I agree. It really comes down to the price. And I don't want to give up guys that, are in the future, who I would love to give up. And I've never been a fan of them. And I know I'm like the only Ranger fan that will ever say this. I have never been a huge fan of Chris Kreider. And now this contract that they signed him to is going to prevent him from being traded, because how terrible the contract is. But we thank you both, Sal and Mike. I appreciate you guys coming on. and come back on during the season. You know, there'll be a lot to talk about. We're on every week, and we always are doing Ranger stuff. You're welcome to come back on anytime you want. All right, guys. Thank you for coming on.
Awesome. Appreciate the time, guys.
Thanks, guys. And so that is Sal and Mike giving a little Ranger roundtable, doing something new today on your 1-year anniversary show, Dougie Sticks. And Dougie Sticks is playing the goal song. Thanks. You were probably waiting for that.
Yeah, I was.
Okay. It's still going. Yeah. So that's a little Ranger roundtable. We're going to try, I think, during the season, since we have like a full season this year and also a lot goes on, breaking it up a little bit during the year and bringing on some Ranger fans.
I like it.
You know, I love doing the Dan Rosen of the world. It's awesome, but just sometimes a little bit different to hear a fan's take.
Yeah,
as
maybe
well.
we should make like a hashtag or something. MYPB fan, and we choose somebody or something. You hashtag pick me.
So can I tell you the true story about how these two people came on?
Absolutely, I love story time.
So I run story time. I run an Instagram page Ranger related, right? And so I kind of decided on this idea yesterday. And so I posted as a story, hey, looking for Ranger fans to come on a podcast tomorrow morning. And these two were like on it right away.
Nice.
And then I actually felt bad because so many people responded that I had to take it down. Because like once I knew what you said, we weren't going to do a roundtable with like 64 people. So we'll have Sal and Mike on again.
Incentives. So since there's so many, how you do it, you share the post and hashtag MYPB fan or something.
And you can come hang with me and you.
Or hashtag Ranger Roundtable or something.
And you can come hang with me and you. That's the gift.
Right there, yeah.
Especially on your birthday week. Look at this.
Right.
Your 1-year anniversary birthday week.
Top money for that.
Yeah. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna go a little bit crazy. I want to see if these two over here want to come on for a second. So we have, we'll call you in a second. So if you're following on the video feed, I need to introduce them because if you're not following the video feed, you're gonna hear voices in a minute and you're not gonna know who it is. So I talk about my kids a lot, whether it be my son's obsession with Chick-fil-A, right? Yeah. Or my daughter and how she's a Ranger fan, and they're both good fans and they know their stuff. So I figured I was going to bring them on. They've been asking, do they want to come on? Let me ask them. If they want to come on, okay, you guys can take your masks off for a minute because it's going to be hard to do that. So you can take your masks off. And we're going to bring them on. So we're going to bring them over here. I'm going to ask them a couple Ranger questions. Here we go. There they are. There's the crew. Why don't you get on the camera?
Come on the other side.
Abby, come on this side.
Watch the lights. There you go.
So we're going to bring them on. We're going to do a couple questions here. All right, Tyler, we're going to start with you. You ready? Who is your favorite Ranger player? You talk into the mic. Right here. Right here. Look, right here. Talk into the mic. Go ahead. Who's your favorite? Mika Zibanejad. Abby, do you have a favorite Ranger?
Same as Tyler's.
So you both like Mika Zibanejad. Now, I had a feeling that would be Tyler's answer. I wasn't really sure what you were going to say. Now, Tyler, do you think that the Rangers have enough, are going to be good enough to win the Stanley Cup this year? No. Abby, at least you're honest. I like the honesty. Abby, what do you think?
I'm not sure because last year was like not too good of a year, so it depends how players are this year.
We'll see. Okay. All right, Tyler, if the Rangers are not going to win the Stanley Cup, what team do you think will win the Stanley Cup this year?
We have to say Tampa Bay Lightning.
Tampa Bay Lightning. So you think Tampa Bay will three-peat and win for the third time in a row?
Yeah.
Okay, that's a good guess. What about you? What?
They could strike Lightning.
They could strike Lightning, right? Lightning can strike 3 times in a row. I like that. Abby, what about you?
My guess is either probably Tampa again because they've really been winning a lot of games, and I really don't know any other team that would do it.
Okay. Last question for you. You ready? This is going to be this is not, I wouldn't say it's a trick question, but I want to know what your answer is. You ready? Now, I'm not sure what either of your answers are, though. I think I know what Tyler will answer to this one. You ready? Which is your least favorite NHL team? Is there a team you don't like that you root against?
New Jersey Devils.
That's what I thought. Okay. Abby, go ahead. What do you have a team?
New Jersey Devils.
Wow.
Oh, man.
So you guys who are in Ranger apparel today, if you're following on camera, you can see them both in their Ranger shirts. They listen. I don't have any Ranger stuff on. They both are anti-Devil. So you guys are make good Ranger fans. Mommy and I have raised you right. Not only are you a Ranger fan, but you get the teams you're not supposed to like. Right? So you guys can hang out here for a second. We're going to wrap up.
I got one more question.
Sure. Oh, Dougie Sticks has a question for you.
Ready?
Go ahead. Yes.
Who's the best at NHL Xbox?
Ooh, this is a good question. Who's the best in the?
I think Connor McDavid.
Okay.
No, Doug.
No, he thinks the answer should be him. Doug thinks he's better. What do you think, Abby?
It's either I've never seen you play.
Oh, you're gonna find out today.
You're gonna find out shortly.
Is either Ovechkin
Ovechkin
or Connor McDavid?
or Connor McDavid. Yes.
All right.
That would be the answer for sure.
Nice.
So we thank you out there for listening. We appreciate the 1 year of listenership. Who would have thought a year ago on Dougie Stick's 34th birthday that he would still be sitting here when he turns 35?
Yeah.
Right? I mean, it's
absolutely.
kind of amazing. So as always, you can send your questions to mypbshow@gmail.com. I'm pretty sure in the next couple of weeks here, the email box will fill up as we get hockey back and football in the near future. You and I have to talk next week. I haven't had any fantasy drafts yet, but I know you and I both are still a little upset over how our season ended each individually last year.
True.
So we're going to try for a redemption tour here this year.
Yes.
And thank you for listening. As always, we thank Sal and Mike for coming on to our Ranger Roundtable. I promise we're going to do that again with some people. We'll probably have them back as well. Anything you want to add, Dougie Sticks, along the way?
No, great show. And, here's to another year of MYPB.
Here's to another year of MYPB. Abby and Tyler, you have anything else you'd like to say?
Go Rangers.
What do you say? You have anything to add? How about a Let's Go Rangers?
Let's go Rangers.
Perfect. Dougie Sticks, you can take us out. Thank you guys for listening.